Well, truth is really an essential thing to life and to democracy and to the ability to interact. And it is so difficult, I find it, to watch what's going on and to see the nature of the reporting without the ability to tell the story, not the news story, but the real historical story of why we are where we are and what it is that's happening around us every day. And so please allow me now to do my best in very brief to tell that story. The conflict between Israel and the Palestinians is an old and complex conflict. Its origins are in two indigenous claims to one piece of land. The Jewish people, as we see in history and in the Bible, come from the land of Israel. It has been our place for easily over 3 millennia. As they say in Israel, Ein lanu eretz acheret. We have no other land where we have been truly at home and where our origins are, which is why when in the Christian world, when Jesus was born, he was born as a Jew in the land of Israel, because that's where we lived. The Jewish tribes on the Arabian Peninsula at the time of Muhammad and the founding of Islam faced Jerusalem when they prayed at a time when there were not yet Arabs populating what is now the land of Israel and Palestine. The Jews, unfortunately, were exiled from their land, from our land. And over a course of many centuries, Arabs came to inhabit that land and have been there for so many centuries that they regard it understandably as a place where they consider themselves indigenous. And so, at the very least, there are two indigenous claims to one land. And so it's understandable that there would be conflicts about to whom the land belongs and how the land would be considered. And that does continue. Miraculously, the Jews were able to return to the land from which we are indigenous after centuries and centuries of proof that we could not be safe and at home, nor reach our destiny as a people completely anywhere else. Nevertheless, we returned to a land where for many centuries there had been a local Arab population who are now called the Palestinians and who never had the opportunity to control their own destiny either. And so the situation was ripe for conflict. Over time and throughout recent history, in the land of Israel and with the Palestinians, there's been much disagreement and conflict over the last 75 years also between Israel and its Arab neighbor countries. And the conflict is too complex for any one person to name in a few moments. However, it is ongoing. And on each side, there are people who wish to see a resolution of the conflict that allows for two peoples to seek their own destiny. There are many on each side who have that desire, and historically have been a majority on the Israel side who want that. And in Gaza, and in the Palestinian population, over understandable pain and frustration at never having control over their own national lives for a wide variety of reasons, Hamas has come to be a potent force and is the ruling group in the Gaza Strip. However, even when the people of Gaza have supported Hamas, they could not have imagined that this group, which is a terrorist group, and terrorizes not merely Israelis and others, but their own population, would hold back opportunities and food and economic growth for their stated goal, which is to destroy Israel and to kill Jews. And so in doing so, their victims are both the state of Israel and the aspirations of those many, many Palestinians whose desire is to live side by side in peace and coexistence. On October the 7th, Hamas, who has had many small level conflicts with Israel, created and chose a dramatically bigger conflict by carrying out one of the largest terrorist attacks in modern history on the sovereign and internationally recognized territory of the state of Israel. And that attack is ongoing. Many, many hostages were taken, and they are still being held. Thousands of missiles were shot at Israeli civilians, and hundreds are shot at Israeli civilians out of Gaza, even now, each and every day. In Israel, over 125,000 Israelis are internally displaced in the south and in the north, unable to live in their homes because of hostile terrorist rocket fire. In such a context, Israel is making the decisions that any free country would make, which is to respond and protect itself and its citizens from ongoing terrorist attacks that began in new vigor on the 7th and have continued throughout, even with Israeli military responses and incursions into Gaza. In Israel's current efforts in the Gaza Strip, an area where, rather than building new housing and better housing for local Palestinians, Hamas over the years has chosen to use what cement it's able to bring in to build terrorist tunnels and a terrorist infrastructure that uses Gazans as human shields instead of building toward their future. And so it leaves Israel with a very painful and difficult decision, and it's doing what any nation under such circumstances would and what it must, pained and saddened that the victims of this horrible moment are not only, of course, the Israelis, but the Palestinian people and the Palestinian people of Gaza in particular, whose lives are damaged and at great danger, and many have been taken because of the cruel, aggressive, and terrorist actions of Hamas, whose goal was never to resolve any kind of disagreement between Israel and the Palestinians, but whose stated goal is to destroy Israel and kill Jewish people. That is the background of the reality in which we find ourselves today.